On today's episode of I Hate My Wife.
This is my wife. This is my other wife.
Hello friends, trace amounts of science. Today we're looking at a bunch of guys who basically seem to hate their wife. And as a wife guy myself, I take great offense to things like this. It's a very boomerish mindset, which should get you prepped for the thing that's coming up on Monday. On Sunday, however, we do have our live stream. I'll be kicking it, interacting heavily with chat. You should come on through. It takes place 1 a.m. my time in the Philippines, but you can convert that time to your local time, and I hope to see you there. Anyway, let's see how this thing goes today. Should be juicy. I, 34 male, did a paternity test on my toddler son. Results were confusing. Should I ask my brother, 32 male, to also take a paternity test? Wow, sounds like you don't trust anybody in your life, OP. Your own brother? Jesus. As the title says, what should I do? Do I try to get my brother to also do a paternity test? Should I dare question that they secretively had an affair? I mean, you're allowed to question whatever you want. Just realize that the ramifications of this are alienating both your wife and brother. Probably not the play you want to make. The results said the alleged father cannot be excluded as the biological father of the tested child. A single STR locus does not match, which may be due to a mutation. The possibility exists that a direct relative of the alleged father could not be excluded as the biological father. The probability of such event is indicated by the combined first order index, which equals 2358, with a corresponding probability of 99.95761633%. So it could be a genetic mutation. It could be your brother legitimately shooting goo into your wife, but I don't think that's the conclusion that we want to jump to. OP elucidates, my wife has black hair and brown eyes. I have black/brown hair with brown eyes. Our son has dirty blonde hair with blue eyes. My brother has dirty blonde hair with blue-green eyes. My brother's also married and his wife is blonde with blue eyes, and they have their own kid that has blonde hair and blue eyes. Blonde hair and blue eyes run in both my family and my wife's. It just happens that my wife and I are dark-featured. Do you know what a recessive gene is, OP? I guess he does. He did Punnett squares in biology one day, and he's like, I know everything about genetics. It's impossible that we have brown hair and brown eyes, and he's got blonde hair and blue eyes. It must be my brother, my dastardly brother. Do you guys have a bad relationship, or what's going on there? It seems like quite a leap in logic to get from where we're at to what you're thinking. I guess it is possible. I've seen it on Jerry Springer a few times. But it sounds a little bit crazy to me, if I'm honest. Maybe OP has, like, this cheater's logic that's going on, and he's insecure because he's cheating, so he thinks that she must be cheating too, which, yeah, is a thing that happens. I don't really know. A lot of it's speculation. The brother isn't, like, an identical twin, and yeah, I think this is just something that the testing laboratory kind of has to say. No laboratory, no scientific test is going to tell you 100% this happens for sure. I think the best thing to do is to stop being paranoid, stop being scared of your own shadow, enjoy your life, and live it in the way that you want to live it. Hopefully without firebombing your wife and brother. But, you know, that's just my opinion, I guess. Good luck with it. Next post is on today's episode of I Hate My Wife.
This is my wife. This is my other wife.
Am I the butthole for joking with my wife about not being ready for sundress season? What, is that like beach season? You're telling her she's fat, essentially? Yeah, don't do that. Never do that. And if you are going to do that, you can approach the subject much more gingerly. Anyway, she overheard me and my friends joking around when we were playing video games. I joked that I can't wait for sundress season to be here. After they left, she told me to take her shopping. I asked her, why? And she said to buy her a sundress because it's almost sundress season. I jokingly said, she wasn't ready. And she got offended by it. I feel so bad for the wife, dude. You overhear something nice, you're like, we're definitely gonna do that together. It'll make him so happy. And then the only reward you get for your effort is being called fat in a sidelong way? God. just leave that woman alone. She's too good for you. Hope he continues, not much else to say other than if I'm a butthole for cracking a joke at that because she made a bigger deal out of it than what I thought. For the record, my wife is probably overweight, but I'm not an idiot, and I didn't tell her that. Yeah, I only told all of the internet. Dude, you're so out of your depth right now. It's like a multi-pronged attack because not only did you call her fat, now she knows that you weren't talking about ogling her in the sundress. Now it becomes a joke about how you're going to look at all these other strange women that turn you on in a way she doesn't. Bro, that just got so deep. I don't know. There's so many layers to it. You're so hateable, OP. I don't know if I made that clear quite yet, but you are an awful human being and you don't deserve her, to be real honest. He's like, oh, I did call her fat to her face. Yeah, but any idiot can read between the lines. We all know what was being implied here, don't we? There's no winding this one back, fella. You gotta sit with the L. Do your best to apologize if you really want to salvage things. But deep down in my heart, I hope that she doesn't. Because she's gone through at least some amount of effort while you do nothing but sit and play video games with the boys. I love video games with the boys, but I ain't gonna pick it over my fucking wife, I'll tell you that much. Oh, goodness, what a mess. Yeah, good luck cleaning it up. Bye! Oh, this is a really long one. My wife, 34 female, left me, 35 male, because I was quote-unquote racist to her, and I can't get her to come back. Can I recover from my mistakes?
There's no way out of this one. You're done.
I mean, probably you can, but it's going to be a big black mark on the permanent record. She might pretend to let you live it down, but she's going to keep it in her back pocket for the rest of forever. Maybe you deserve it. Maybe you should let people be on their way. Accept their decision. But I don't know the full story quite yet, so we'll see. Long post alert! Wee-oo, long post incoming! Sorry for the brain dump. I just need help saving my family! Let me tell you something. Probably your family's going to be alright without you. They might even be better off. OP says, I sincerely feel our problem started on Reddit, so I feel it's only right to come back here to see if you can help me solve the mess that we made. So a few years ago, my wife came to Reddit for advice navigating a cultural clash. You can read her original post here. You know what? I am going to get into it. Let's go check it out. Am I the beehole for asking my fiancé to pay a bride price? And this was posted by the woman, the bride. Throwaway for obvious reasons. I'm not asking your opinion on bride prices. I'm asking if I was wrong for what I did. My fiancé, 32 male at this time, is a white European man. I, 31 female, am a black African woman. We've been dating for 7 years. I came to his country to study and have lived and worked here since. Ever since we started dating, he's taken such an interest in my culture. He's asked me to teach him my language and culture, and we've even been to visit a few times. He asked me to marry him last year, and I accepted. Dating for 7 years, bro. It's wild to me. I am glad he's taking an interest and whatnot, because that is a very important thing. If not completely understand, then do your best to respect the culture that you're immersing yourself in. Anyway, were planning our wedding. I mentioned that we'd need to account for my family back home. We could have the traditional wedding in my home country and the white wedding in his, since we don't want to ask anyone to fly and get visas, etc. The issue came when I mentioned a bride price needing to be paid, something which he scoffed at. To call it a bride price is misleading because there's so much more to it than the money that changes hands. It's our time-honored tradition that blends two families into one, and it's always something I wanted to do when I got married. I mean, you're allowed to want what you want, but it's kind of got to be a mutual agreement. I mentioned that he knew of marriage customs in my country and that they include a bride price. We both work in law/human rights type of field, so he assumed that I would be against a bride price. I told him I'm against it being a forced money-making thing, but I'm asking that he does it because I choose it, and I want to honor my parents and culture. Yeah, by laying him a big old nest egg. But yeah, I guess the real question is, how bad do you want to keep the relationship? So the dude did refuse and said that it was a backwards and extortionate thing and it would be like he bought me. I assured him that wasn't the case. My parents would charge a tokenistic/symbolic amount. Nothing crazy, just to symbolize us getting together. I said if my parents were to sell me, then he couldn't afford me. Shrug emoji. Yeah, ain't my problem. You're a broke boy. Why don't you get your money up before you come fucking around over here for 7 years? This set him off in a rage because I somehow insulted him by saying that. Yes, somehow. How could that be misconstrued? When what I meant is that my parents aren't looking to make money off of me, but this is something that my people have done for millennia, and I don't want to break from tradition. I've said that I don't know if I'm willing to go ahead with marrying him if he isn't willing to make the trip to my country and talk to my parents about the lobola process. Lobola is a tradition in many South African countries where the groom's family pays the bride's family in cash or cattle before the wedding. Well, easy solve. How many head of cattle do you have laying around? Just go round them up. He says that I'm forcing/manipulating him. I am not. He knew from day one who I was and where I came from. This is what my people do, and I feel for him to label it backwards is pretty Eurocentric because he's viewing it from his lens, despite me having explained what it's actually about. I mean, to be fair, it is quite Eurocentric. You guys are just not operating on the same wavelength, you know? I understand the sunk cost fallacy, I've been together for 7 years and all this. You gotta keep hanging on. But at a certain point, if you realize that, yeah, she's not going to do it unless she gets this and you don't want to give her that, then take off. Like, wow, that problem solved itself. TLDR, my white boyfriend won't pay and honor my culture in our marriage, and I don't know if I want to marry him if he's unwilling. ETA, there's a lot of misconception and ignorance in the comments, so I'll try to clarify. Boyfriend and I didn't talk about the bride price in our specific context. However, he knew from real life and fictional context the marriage customs of my people. I assumed that he, knowing what he knows, would have known the steps necessary for marrying me. Perhaps I was wrong to assume that. Yes, perhaps. We're having a communication breakdown. You've known each other for 7 years, and it's still this bad? Cut me loose, man. Pull the ripcord. I gotta get out of here. This lobola is no affront to him or his upbringing outside of what I view to be a judgment of moral superiority. It's all really sidelong, isn't it? We're dragging like morals and Eurocentrism into it. I'd respect you a lot more if you'd be like, yeah, I wanted my parents to be able to buy something nice. Like, just say it. I'm trying to secure their financial future. And I'd be like, okay, yeah, I get it. But we're going this sidelong way, which I guess has some legitimacy, but if he's not willing to budge, and neither are you, then yeah, obviously it's not going to happen. Let's both take our leave. She continues, saying a lot of your comments are ignorant, with thinly veiled racial undertones. I knew, coming to a platform with predominantly white users, that this was a risk. What? I mean, to be fair, I haven't read the comments. Maybe there are some really nasty ones down there. But overall, the conversation, the question itself has racial undertones. I don't understand how you can give an answer without addressing the racial undertones. Are you that offended by people answering the question that you asked? I guess so. I ask that you read what you're saying before you post and ask yourself if you're coming from a position of superiority, colored by your beliefs of Africa and Africans. Step outside your worldview. And I think I do that pretty well. But that still doesn't stop me from feeling that the bride price thing is sort of icky, dude. Mail order bride vibes, you know? 3, frankly, my parents are wealthy. They neither need nor plan to get rich off my marriage. They have a demonstrated pattern of behavior that assures me they are reasonable and fair when it comes to this kind of thing. Yeah? How many kids did they sell off? I mean, bride price away. Damn it, I don't know how... What's the verb? The money is minuscule, literally like 5% part of the traditional marriage, but it is a part of it. The other 95% is not monetary and is a beautiful ceremony that blends two families together. My concern is that if he's willing to shun the 95% for the sake of the 5, then what does my future with this man look like? I mean, ask yourself the same question. Like, you can flip it right back around and all of a sudden it's not an okay thing to ask. You are also agreeing to give up the 95% for the 5%. And let's be double plus really real, it's probably more than 5%. Whatever. Anyway, 5, culturally, if we do not go through these customs, I am not married, and my marriage won't be recognized. The ceremony is a cultural must-have. The wedding ceremony, a nice-to-have. My family mean a lot, and my parents have done a lot for me. I disrespect my parents over something that I not only think is a non-issue, but something I agree with. You seem to miss the part where I am willingly consenting to this. I mean, different nations have different rules for getting married, and if that's included in their rules, then yeah, it does sound like you must have it. That makes the situation a little more cut and dry, doesn't it? Except for the fact that it makes me question the whole consentingly thing. Like, oh, I want to get married, but the government said I have to do this. Then again, who wouldn't consent to getting like a truckload of money? Final edit, logging off. Lobola is something I'm unable and unwilling to scrap. I'll talk to him. We shall decide on the future of this relationship. If it's something that he's unwilling to partake in, I guess we'll have our answer. Thanks to those of you who were useful in your advice and respectful in your disagreements. Bye. That wasn't me, either of those things. And updates on my profile for those who keep asking. Yeah, no matter how many reasons we give for why it has to happen, it just seems a little barbaric to me. To pay cold hard cash or cattle for another human being. I can't really sign off on it. She didn't communicate that it was a thing he needed to do. They spent 7 years together. Now he feels locked in. I sort of get where he's coming from, maybe. She doesn't paint herself in a good light. Of course, it could be a case of everybody sucks here, so let's go back to that original post. So my wife is from Zimbabwe. I am Swiss, and we met while at university in my country. I fell for her instantly. Truthfully, I've never seen anyone so beautiful. She was so kind and incredibly intelligent and had this gravitational pull to her. We started off as friends, but we eventually began dating and got into a steady relationship. Real steady. 7 years, a decade steady. I wanted to marry straight away, but she had career ambitions that she wanted to meet before she married. At the time of her Reddit post, I was going through some stuff. In truth, I knew the expectation of Rura was on anyone who would marry her. Rura? Won't we just calling it Lobolo? A bride price? I think bride price is a lot more honest. It's the price that we pay for the bride. Opie says, I had been saving for that price alongside her engagement ring for years. Well, look at you go. So you did know all along. But then you saw all that money, that sweet, juicy money. I mean, there's your money. Why shouldn't I keep it?
After all, why not? Why shouldn't I keep it?
Opie says, I had gotten into a fight with my brother before she asked about setting a date for her Rura when he'd said some nasty things about me being with a black woman and how I was losing myself and my cultural identity due to the concessions that I'd made to be with my wife. It's why I reacted the way I did when she asked me about it, something which I deeply regret to this day. From your own brother, man, that's fucked up. Them's fighting words, honestly. But to take it out on your wife, yeah, I think that's even more messed up. You should regret it. I'm glad you do, because it's misdirected anger. Anyway, after the shit show that was that post, we spent 3 months in couples counseling. She repeatedly told me that she didn't want to force me to do anything that I didn't want to do. She said that she deserved to be with someone who enthusiastically embraced all parts of her. And if any part of me took issue with her culture, she asked that I bow out before I tied us together for life. Yeah, she's letting you know what she needs. Whether it's 5% or 50%, yeah, it's make or break for her. So, are you in or out, is what she's asking. And it's okay for you to say out. You don't have to blame your brother for any of that. You can just be like, okay, it's been fun. Nobody here's telling the truth, man, and it's tearing me apart. Can't you just be honest? Be honest with yourself, be honest with each other. Open up, make a connection. Be two parts of the same person before you sign the legal contract. But no, everybody's still got their little secrets. As OP admits, I confessed that I knew all along about the Rura and had prepared for it, but the conversations with my brother are what led me to say what I did. Oh, my dastardly brother again. I should title this episode, I Hate My Wife and My Brother's a Bastard. I don't think it would fly on YouTube too well. But again, you really can't blame the brother. What you did was see all those zeros and you're like, I should just hang on to this. If I can hang on to it, then I will. She's not gonna let you. And OP says she was mad. I'd allowed her to be mocked, ridiculed, and bullied by strangers online because I couldn't communicate with her. But we worked through it. Yeah, 7 years in, we're still working through it. It's gonna go great. Oh no, man. You should have each other basically completely figured out around like the 5-year mark. Wifey and I, fairly simpatico most of the time. Because we are indeed the same person in two separate bodies. Split right down the middle. Stuff she's great at, I suck at, vice versa. Anyway, we had a beautiful traditional wedding in her country, and then another one with my traditions in mine. Her family was kind and welcoming, making many concessions for me as they had done since I'd met them. We planned on starting a family soon after we'd married, but she'd always said that she'd wanted to have her babies back in her country so she can have her family around her, and we had agreed that this is what we would do. Basically exactly how I ended up in the Philippines. It's important to note that my wife doesn't really like living here. She says she hates living here. What? Sounds like you both are a little confused. We lived in Sweden for much of our relationship, and many will know the people are on the colder side. She hated the food and the weather, struggled with the cold people. Her country's people are very warm and friendly, and for the last 2 years she had to go on antidepressants because it was all just a bit much for her. I mean, yeah, culture shock's a thing. I don't know if antidepressants are the answer, but whatever works for you, I guess. She asked me when we were going to move, and I asked for us to just hang on for a while so I can finish a project I'm leading at work. We'd fought about this in the past, but this time she just nodded at me, so I thought she finally got it.
Men, we don't know what we did.
Oh, my sweet summer child. When she's quiet, it's not a good thing, dude. She's plotting. That was over 18 months ago, and we didn't end up moving as I got promoted, and it became harder to walk away. Dude, just break up? What the fuck? Like, clearly he doesn't want it bad enough to walk away from his super great job. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? I'm getting so frustrated. Her grandma passed away, so I attributed the low mood to that. A woman's anger is like a pool of milk, you know? You can see the top part of it, but you don't really know how deep it is. I think you start pouring it out, and it's like, oh God, it just keeps coming. But that's a good thing. That's a healthy thing. You hug each other and cry afterwards. And tell each other that you're gonna do better because you love the other person that much. And then here's the clincher, you really actually do have to follow through and do better. So yeah, open it up, pour out the milk pail. I know it's scary, but it's for the greater good, you see. Like, you must not really care to notice the difference between how she answered last time and how she answered this time. Anyway, our problems came when she asked me if I was having an affair with my colleague. This was when I got home late one evening and found her sitting in the dark. Uh-oh. Smoking a cigarette? Uh-oh. She's gonna burn you with that cigarette for sure. I'd forgotten that she was making dinner for us, to be honest, because I had a lot going on at work and it just slipped my mind. Yeah, as it does. Dinner with wife. Come on. Make her a priority. You say you care, but like just going to work and providing the money and saying nice things, it isn't enough. Women want to know that you are reliable, that you are dependable. Much more important than money. Trust me. OP says, I told her that colleague and I were just working late and I forgot. Sorry.
We are deeply sorry. We're sorry.
She grew confrontational and told me I was spending a lot of time with colleague lately, and she's noticed her name on my phone more than a few times. She asked me if there was anything that she ought to know. This is when I may have killed my marriage. What was the line? Tell me the line. I told her that I didn't give her father a truck full of cattle for her to question me.
Absolute madness!
Oh boy. You've been keeping that one in your back pocket for a little bit? the truck full of cattle for 3 years. And then she gets confrontational about cheating, which he may or may not have done. I sort of lean towards he didn't. He's just a workaholic. Although, like I said, everybody here seems to have their secrets. This was my house, my wife, and if I wanted to have something on the side, that was nobody's business but mine. Jesus, dude. You said the last part out loud too? Wow. Just wow. You did. You killed your marriage stone cold dead with one sentence. You can't put that one away. Never speak out of anger, dude. You need some anger management classes is what you need. She looked like I had slapped her, and I could see her holding back tears. I don't know why I didn't drop to my knees and beg forgiveness. Instead, I doubled down and told her to stop the theatrics. Stop feeling things. Why are you upset about the horrible words that came out of my mouth? Why? OP says, here's the thing. I'm not having an affair of any kind with my colleague. We really were just heavily into this project that we were both super excited about. I don't know why I couldn't just say that to my wife. 'Cause you're an idiot. I'm telling you, dude, like being transparent, open and honest, telling your partner everything and asking them about everything. That's the only way that this thing can function for an extended period. Your relationship died around year 2 or 3, and it's been shambling around like a zombie for the last, 5 to 7. It's sad to watch. Put it down. It's a mercy. She didn't come to bed that night. Oop. And I left early in the morning the day after, and came home when she was asleep. This continued for days, where I avoided her because I couldn't face the guilt. Oh, God. It's the worst thing to do. Dude, she's stewing is what she's doing. She's making a big pot of foul soup and it's gonna get shoved down your throat. I don't understand why. The guilt is riding on your pride and your ego. Put that shit aside. Like, work on this human connection that you have said matters to you. Do you care about how she's feeling, the thoughts that are going through her head about what you said? For days. For days! As far as I can tell, with my wife, women don't stop thinking in the way that men do. Men can swap to another mode and okay, we're in that mode, but women are on all modes all the time. It's a multi-thread CPU. And yeah, that horrible thing that you said, it has a memory leak. It's about to blow up the task manager. Is this analogy making sense at all? Guilt is stupid. You either don't care about it, in which case you don't respond, or you do care about it, in which case you do. You say one thing, you do another. You might be 30-something, but you're not ready for a marriage. Just stay at that job. Maybe you'll be grown up by the time you're 50. On the Friday, I came home to a gift box that contained a positive pregnancy test and a long letter from my wife. Well, that changes the game. I won't share all of it, but she said she was going to tell me on the night I bailed on dinner that I had hurt her beyond measure with what I had said to her, and that she was no longer going to show her love for me through self-sacrifice. She told me she doesn't consent to be in a polygamous relationship, and since it's what I want, I should expect to receive divorce papers from her soon. She left her rings and the house keys as well. See, wifey's also, not emotionally mature enough to dump out the entire bucket of milk. She takes a scoop off the surface and says, "This is why I gotta get the hell out of here." And so she did. But OP just can't let go for whatever reason. Maybe it's that truckload of cattle. I had a panic attack. I was able to call for help before the worst of it came, but I spiraled. I had monumentally messed up and lost my wife and unborn child because of it. I tried to call her, but her phone was going straight to voicemail. I called her brother, who was short with me, but assured me that she was fine. He wouldn't tell me anymore. I finally tracked her down after 2 weeks, and yeah, she had gone back to her parents in Zimbabwe. What do you think, this is like a rom-com movie moment? You cut that woman deep, dude. She and her whole family are gonna tell you to fuck right off. OP says, "Oh, he didn't even go." I can't follow her just yet. Because the project I've worked on for so long now is near completion, and I can't walk away. It's been the problem the entire time, and he just doesn't get it. You make decisions with how to divide your time, and you've devoted basically all of it to work. This is just like a shocking lack of self-awareness. My friends told me that I was racist to my wife in my actions because I would have never tried that with a white woman and tried to use her culture against her. Oh, please. It happens all the time. Yeah, that handbag you're carrying, that Ferrari you're driving, that's all mine. You live in my house. You think that only happens to African people, do you? Not the case. The fact that I wasn't even serious made me more cruel, apparently. I mean, yeah, it does, dude. You're a heartless fucking monster. I don't know if you realize it because you're a clockwork automaton inside. But, you really just have no soul. How can you say you care about this person and then do nothing for them? Show them no love whatsoever. And then get mad when they expect something from you? What? I hope she never comes back. I'll be real with you. She still won't speak to me. I've tried all avenues and she won't hear me out. I love her beyond measure and I don't know how to get her back. Please help me. You are a bit beyond help, sir. The best advice I can offer you is let go. Let go. She can go be happy with someone who doesn't fucking live at work. Okay? I've yet to see you list one actual reason that you enjoy her or her company. I guess the things he said at the beginning, yeah, she's smart and stuff. But it's so vague in general. I really believe you guys do not spend any time together. You connect at a surface level, like Angie and my Tommy. Have you seen those live streams? I don't know if they went patrons only. But they were some bangers, right? So Angie's this little girl that lives in the Philippines. She yell a lot, she talk like this. And Tommy's this old fat guy who works for DHL, and Angie says things like, "Oh, I want to eat hot dog, my Tommy," and everybody thought that's hilarious, so she got a little bit of clout, and then things turned really sideways when it turned out that Tommy was actually a registered offender on that registry for offenders. So Tommy couldn't be admitted into the Philippines, but to take that even a layer deeper, Angie, in her quote-unquote virtual relationship with Tommy, was transmitting pictures of her own children for cash, allegedly. But she in jail. She going to trial for it. I hope they pin Tommy down too, man. I probably should do a whole stream on that too instead of Elliot tomorrow. But I'm just thinking out loud. There goes me talking about work again. You don't deserve anybody's help, OP. Except maybe a good psychiatrist who can help you work through some of these things. Or at least prescribe you some good antidepressants to the point where you don't care about her no more. You're like, yeah, you know what? It's kind of lame anyways. I'm just gonna go to work. OP has an edit here and says, okay, a lot of you think I'm awful. It's hard to read, but oh well. I've taken your advice on board, and I'm gonna follow her. I've booked a flight to Zimbabwe. I leave in 10 days. I'm going to go apologize and try to make her understand. No one seems to be thinking of the child she's carrying. My child. When they say I should leave her alone, I won't do that. It's sad that I've missed on the joy of finding out we're finally having the baby we've so wanted, but I'm going to go and fix this so I can get my wife back and our family on track. Well, I'm gonna subscribe for updates from this motherfucker. I want to know how all that goes for him. Probably never posts again. I don't know if Zimbabwe is like, you know, the Philippines or Kenya. I was talking to a Kenya dude. He told a story about when he was a kid and a hippo like came out of the lake and bit another kid in half. It was like so wild. It was such a normal conversation until that point. I'm like, holy shit. But yeah, I should think that if the wife really wants to be done with this crazy stalker guy, like he's not aware of the possible danger that he's walking into. Oh my god. This is juicy, man. You're all like pretty hateable people in your own unique and special ways, but I'm like really enjoying the show. Obviously everybody does suck here. I think the wife sucks quite a bit less than the husband at this point. Cause yeah, it feels like we're witnessing like the formation of a stalker right now. That's exactly what's happening. Next thing you know, girl from Zimbabwe's posting on r/ReddX reads, and ReddX is reading that story out loud. What a crazy turn of events. What a small world. What a great story. I was happy to dive into it with you today, friends. Become a patron if you would, please. Support me monthly, could you? Maybe you could do it on YouTube memberships. Is that more enticing for some reason? You get a little badge, it's cool. Nah, but it's cool if you can't do it, though. I just appreciate you watching. And I wanted to tell you before I get out of here that you are loved, you're worthy, you definitely deserve it, friends. And I shall see you in the next one. So until then, bye-bye. I don't know why I morphed into Sean Connery or something.